So welcome to Grumpy Vegan Grandad. My name's Dan, and today I'm going to do a little bit of a reaction video to David Ramm's live stream with an extremely brave farmer, a dairy farmer, John Graham. I say brave because to come on live on a live stream is pretty brave, because of course there's going to be a lot of backlash to him, but from what I can see, what I've seen so far, people have been pretty tame. I didn't actually attend the live stream. I didn't see the live stream. This is the re-upload, but what I've heard John Graham say, I think needs a little bit of my input.
All good, mate. All good. How are you feeling about today's stream?
Nervous, apprehensive. We all see the comments and and basically, yeah, the comments in all the vegan videos or any animal videos for that matter can get quite aggressive. So on both sides, absolutely on both sides.
Yeah, I wouldn't say aggressive. I would say reactive. I think people do get reactive. I mean, when you are showing an audience animal abuse, they are going to react negatively. So you're not really going to get anything positive out of showing vegans what you do for a living, unfortunately. Nobody's going to pat you on the back or give you a round of applause for enslaving animals, but I wouldn't say it's aggressive. I think a bit of name calling, you know, it's all typed comments. There's nothing physical going on. So let's carry on.
And
Yeah.
I think I feel the same way as yourself, which is why I commented on your video, David, because it was a very well edited video. Fair within reason. I had issues with some of it, but you weren't basically bashing left, right, and center and talking nonsense like some of the videos you see out there. So I just made a comment on it, and you came back to me on it, and I suppose that's where we are here today.
Sure. Yeah. This was the video with the smoking, the parody and the smoking parody, and yeah, that we just put out. Yeah. Cool. So give us like I guess a short introduction for you, man. I mean, what's like, who are you? What do you do? Briefly, and so people get an idea of that. Yeah.
I'd be a fourth or fifth generation dairy farmer, and we've been before that we would have been in working with animals to coach men to the big house in wherever we came from. There was obviously a family with that in 5 different directions, but we've always been involved.
So this guy is fourth or fifth generation, which is going back quite a while. You know, over 100 years of history of dairy farming. And before that, they were something to do with horse and coaches to a rich family. I think he's in Ireland. I'm not quite sure. I think he is in Ireland. I will put the link to this actual conversation there for you guys to watch, and I will also put David Ramm's channel up there for you to go and check him out. Please give him a sub. And have a look at his channel. He's got some great content on there, some great chat. He's really good at explaining and dissecting dissecting any sort of vegan arguments for and against, and he's well worth a watch. I'll also put him in down below as well for you to click on. But I think this guy's in Ireland. It looks like it's just been all he knows. It's all he knows. He's 4 or 5 generations back. He's been in the dairy farm, so he's really entrenched in this way of life. But let's see if he mentions if he is in Ireland. It's definitely an Irish accent, so, and it sounds Southern Irish, so it's definitely there's definitely a big dairy industry in Ireland.
Times have changed. I'm now dairy farming. I've taken over from my father. We are milking in around about 80 cows. Before this, I was working in the Irish Farmers Association. I was negotiating milk price with co-ops and so on and so forth. And sort of the idea of where we are here in Ireland, we're very different than the rest of the world in that, well, not all over, there's parts where it's similar to us, but we will be more established in our farming systems. The land will be under agriculture for a long time. That's anywhere in Europe you could say that, and similar systems. Also the way that we are farming is more in, we own the co-op, we own the system, and so therefore we also have to negotiate our milk price, and it's a more smaller scale system what we're doing here. So I'm making about 80 cows, which will be in around about average. It will be larger for our area, but it will be.
So what he's explaining there is that they're in a co-op. So they all work together as though they're one big massive business, and that is where the if you're in the UK, the co-op supermarkets, that's how they started. They got people in fact the co-op started in Rochdale. That's where it started, and basically they got people to bring their own goods and they sold them in one big sort of supermarket. It was very start of supermarkets, the co-op, and that's how they work. They all club together. They all dictate the prices. They don't sort of compete with each other, and it's a really fair way of living. But how does that affect the farming?
Average or below average for the country.
Okay, cool. So I guess let's just follow this. Let's go from here, I suppose. I mean, you've opened up, you told us a bit about the dairy farm and how it's, you say it's slightly different in Ireland. So let's kind of start with that then. So on your farm, practices on most farms, or you can correct me if I'm wrong, regarding dairy cows, they differ from obviously these large farms to small farms. There are differences, of course. But on your farm specifically, what's the situation? What's the system that you put into place for example, getting the cows to produce milk? So like impregnating the cows, and then what's the process after that? Like, tell us the process that you go through on the farm from when the cow's born to what happens to them, depending on whether they're male, female. Then give us the whole story of your farm.
Well, I suppose
so. David's lined him up there. He's basically told John, right, tell us the full process. Tell us exactly what happens. Blow by blow. Minute by minute account. That's what he's told him. So let's see how John tackles this, because he's already looking a little bit nervous now.
From the beginning, obviously, and I see you mentioned it there, and it's something I meant to come back on a video, but I never did. What we do, we AI. We AI some of our cows.
So full outline for today. I don't know how.
Dollar.
I'm breeding then, and I see you mentioned it there, and it's something I meant to come back on a video, but I never did. What we do, we AI. We AI some of our.
So he's already using the terminology AI. So artificial insemination. They take bull semen artificially. A human masturbates a bull, one way or the other. I think he goes into that, and then it's inserted into a cow. No permission. We all know what it is. But here we go. He's already started with the terminology. So
cows, and we put to a bull the rest of the cows. The cows that we need for breeding, the ones that will be healthier genetics. When I say healthier genetics, in that we need an animal that we need and they need it themselves to be an animal that is robust. You can choose to breed in lots of different directions, and you know, same as with humans, there's different races within humans. Likewise, there's different.
No. We don't genetically breed humans. It's nowhere near like what humans. You use genetics to breed a more robust animal. That's what you're saying, a more robust animal. So you are saying that you want to breed an animal that is healthy because it produces milk, that can stand up to being impregnated over and over and over and over and over and over again. That's what you're trying to do. It's all about milk production. So it's it's not like humans at all. It's not like humans at all.
Different races within cows. So in the past, it would have been gone more towards higher yield.
No, there's different breeds of cow, not different races of cow. There's different breeds. That's the difference.
Yields and production, and I found that didn't really work for us, especially here in the northwest of Ireland. We couldn't. Not that the animals were quite happy and content, but they were under a lot of pressure. You were raising marathon runners. So anyway, I'm breeding then more towards a robust type of animal, a smaller British Frisian type animal. She is inseminated, or the heifer is inseminated. We do the eye ourselves. I do it myself. My father does it. Basically, what you'd see in the video though, she's rammed up in a crush and she's doing whatever. In a lot of cases, I just do them when they're standing there in the passageway. These are girls.
Sorry to cut you off for a second, but I don't know if a lot of people know exactly what that is. When you say AI, yeah, so maybe
do them. We do them. We do them.
You could explain that.
Right, artificial insemination is where the bull will give a quality bull will give his semen up, and
how do you let's go even back a step further. And so how does that work then? So how does the semen come from the bull, and how do you get it into the cow?
Well, basically,
you see, David's having to guide him. He's having to guide him because he's dodging and weaving a little bit. He's dodging and weaving a little bit because he's uncomfortable with what he's saying. He's quite aware of how this is going to come across. He's quite aware, and he's having to be pushed into revealing the exact process, a bit like he pushes the cows into their system of living, the way he herds them around and has to be forced to do things. So yeah,
the AI stations, the company, the cooperative would move back a step further, would have the DNA of all our stock. A company called ICBF would have the DNA of all our stock.
Stock. On shelves, in cupboards, all your stock in a warehouse, you stock. These are living, sentient, emotional, loving animals. They're not stock. They're not stock.
And they would then choose the best, most viable animals. And for various areas that resistance to disease, so we used to use less antibiotics, more production per...
Antibiotics. Of course, closely confined animals, which are kept indoors for at least a good 6 months of the year. They need antibiotics. Now, where does that manifest itself?
Per kilo of live weight, so that they're not under pressure. Basically, and I say more production of solids as opposed to volume. Look, as I say, I could give you a whole thesis here, like go to a rabbit hole of
Sure, yeah.
Back and back and back and back. For me,
no, it's more just. I understand. It's more just for people that don't understand or don't know how the bull's semen gets to the cow. So
frozen. He basically would be in a bull station. He would jump an artificial cow. His his semen would go into an artificial vagina, and or his penis would go into an artificial vagina, and the semen comes out the other end. He enjoyed it.
Okay. Sure.
Did he say he enjoys it?
He enjoyed it.
Okay.
Sure. He enjoy it. He enjoy it. Really? Suppose he might. But he hasn't got a choice, has he?
Look, he wouldn't do it if he didn't enjoy it. That's going to be guaranteed. There is lots of different. In any of these operations, there is bad people. Likewise, there is bad people in hospitals. There's bad people in schools. There is bad people in every industry. So I'm sure there'll be somebody come up and say, "Oh, the bull is electrocuted," or whatever, or he isn't, because it doesn't really leave good semen.
No, the bull isn't. What he's referring to is an electric vibrator that they shove up the bull's ass to stimulate it to produce semen. So they use an electric dildo, basically, that sends electric pulses up his ass. That's what he's referring to, but he doesn't use that.
Yeah.
There is going to be videos out there. People say, "Well, definitely that is the way it is."
I mean, look at David here. He looks so uncomfortable. You can just see him sort of moving and squirming a little bit. Oh my God.
In general, it isn't. And as I say, I'd probably mention that again a couple of times, but in general, there's not a lot of bad practices. No, there is no bad practices knowledgeably undertaken by the vast majority of farmers.
No bad practices. Enslavement, rape, infanticide, murder, abuse. It's all abuse. It's all a bad practice. The whole thing is a bad practice. Breeding cows to produce milk that are meant for the babies is bad practice, full stop.
Moving back, we again, they get the semen is then frozen. Is then I get in a pot cryogenically kept. I then thaw that semen out. I then AI put into a gun and AI the cow. The cow offers herself up for me to come in behind her.
What? The cow offers herself up. The cow sees a human with a big glove on and a gun full of bull spunk, and she offers herself up to him.
And put my arm up, and if it was, the arm is massive or whatever, it's actually smaller than a lot of.
Put the arm up. Put the arm up where exactly? Sorry, again, I'm not. I know, but it's for some people who don't know.
I put it up her bum, like.
Okay.
And.
I put it up a bum, like, it didn't like saying that, did it? It didn't like saying that. Well done, David.
Basically, I put up a bum and put the sheath, what's called sheath, on it. I hold the the uterus, and then gently slide the sheath into the uterus and inseminate the cow.
Okay.
This is the same. Like, yes, if I shove my hand up your ass, you'd be really annoyed. The cow would not stand there voluntarily, and if you want, I can send a video of whenever I'm doing it next.
Did you hear that little cough that he did? That's because when people are saying things that are uncomfortable, or this lying, I'm not saying he's lying, but when people are uncomfortable with what they're saying or what they're about to say, your mouth goes dry and your throat tightens up a little bit, doesn't it? So, what's he trying to say here?
Don't be doing it for a couple of weeks yet. Where the cow is quite happy to be served.
Quite happy to be served. How do you serve a cow? Here you are, Daisy. Here's your champagne. Here's your Swiss mountainside grass on a platter for you. The language they use. She's quite happy to be served. She's quite happy to have a human shove his fist up her ass and then squirt fucking bull spunk up her.
I can't say any more than that unless you want to quiz me any more detail on it.
No, that's all right. So we can I mean, I just want to get the full picture before we get into anything more. So then obviously the cow has the calf, and so tell us what happens then on your farm specifically. So if they're a male calf or a female calf, then what's the process for each of these?
Well, not only if they're a male calf or female calf, as I spoke there about genetics. We will use beef or dairy. It isn't just like a lot of the stuff that you would see isn't black and white, and I really could spend the whole video talking about what way the calves go and what is the best thing for the calves and so on. The best.
Well, no,
I do.
No. It wouldn't take the full video to say what's best for the calf. It wouldn't. It's quite simple. Leave the calf with its mother. Let the calf drink its mother's milk. Let the cow and the calf grow up. Let the cow and the fully grown cow or bull die of natural causes. Maybe. That didn't take an hour, did it?
Personally, is that we would put an awful lot more stock in calf to beef animals. Because those animals are going to be used and they're more viable. And that'll be another something I want to touch on later, is that why is that animal alive? I don't particularly want to be raising animals that in some areas across the world are seen as waste. And I think that is utter disgrace. Every living thing has a purpose. Including you, me, the birds, the bees, everything. And in my belief, their purpose, we need to manage them as best as we can to make sure they have the best purpose possible. Financially, it makes no difference, realistically, to me. In the greater scheme of things, is what calf she has, and as long as I have so many heifers
to steal the milk to make you money,
to replace my cows, I'm happy. So I could put them all in calf to Frisian, and then have these skinny Frisian bull calves around the place. that really are for the environment not a very. They have a place, but they don't have a place more than they're needed. If you know what I mean, you could end up breeding yourself into a far bigger population.
So they don't have a place, do they? They don't have a place. They're only there to service your needs, to make you profit. That's the only reason they're there.
And you actually need.
So if I'm understanding correctly, just correct me if I'm wrong. If it's not necessarily the gender that you're determining it by, it's something else that or whether they go for beef or whether they go for dairy.
You'll be breeding for dairy, and likewise within the seasons, I'd be breeding a higher yielding animals that would calve in the winter for the liquid milk production. So I have less animals calving in the winter. Those heifers then will go on to calve. So I have less animals calving in the winter, but those animals I would choose to be a higher production type animal because they will be fed on meat and preserved grass silage. So it's more efficient for them and myself that they will be a high production type animal. Likewise, you go to the other end of the spectrum.
So it sounds like he's talking about a manufacturing company, production, efficiency, sales, profit, loss. He's not talking about looking after beautiful sentient animals. He's talking about a production. He's talking about factory. Whether he's just a small farm, and he's still talking like it's a production line, Ford Motor Company, mass. Oh, Jesus.
In the spring, I would be breeding a lot more cows calving, so I'd have a lot more beef coming off them, and they will be either going into suckling. A lot of the heifers out of my cross. This is not everybody's cross, but out of our cross and our cows, a lot of people would like the type of animal that we have. So that Angus, more than likely Angus or short-term cross Frisian, is a nice starting point for your beef animal. So that animal, the heifer will then go on and she'll become a suckler cow, which is a cow that maintains the calf by her side her whole life, until she weans the calf. Obviously, you're not still beside your or anything like that. So that will be that system, and that would suit a different land type where you justify dairying or anything else.
So if we focus a little bit more on the beef calf, then, just to know the life cycle. Again, I want to know what specifically you do on your farm. So a calf is born, and you have determined that they're going to be a beef animal. So what will tell us the life cycle of that animal?
Well, there's male and female, and the male, both of them. Locally here, we will be in an area where it's predominantly sucklers and predominantly beef. We'll be in the minority. There's only 4 or 5 of us out of about 200 or 300. We're dairy, and the rest of the people are all predominantly suckling and sheep. So in a lot of cases, they would have cows that would have maybe too much milk, or that unfortunately have lost a calf. Which happens in human life. It happens everywhere, and usually I've had calls in the middle of the night of some devastated farmers where something has happened. Or
why are they devastated? Why are they devastated when they lose a calf, when a calf dies after birth? Is it because they've lost the baby, or is it because they've lost the wonga?
And let's say, I'd say others would have cows that would have too much milk, and they would take a couple of our calves, the beef calves, to rear on that cow alongside the calf as well.
So let me get this right. So if you've got a dairy farm that's produced a bit too much milk, they use each other's farms to rear the male calves for beef, if I'm getting that right. co-op.
Like at the moment, we are unfortunately locked up with TB. Like coronavirus, as I'm sure everyone is aware, you have to isolate. And within TB is bovine tuberculosis, which is transmittable to humans. So we have to be very careful with it. And it's very prominent in a humid country like Ireland and England and the Midland Europe. It's not so much anywhere else in the world. There's other diseases that they would have that we wouldn't have. However, while I'm constantly monitoring for that, I don't want to be giving TB to my calves. Any of our milk that goes out for human consumption, in all cases, is always pasteurized, homogenized, and whatever. So there's never any real risk.
Yeah, it's such a natural food that you've got to sterilize it, pasteurize it, boil it, put chemicals in it. It's so natural. It's so fucking natural milk, isn't it?
There's no risk, zero risk to the greater population.
Sure, but focusing. Sorry, just to make sure I'm following you correctly. So, so you say 10 to 20 weeks, right? You said the beef calf would be on your farm in your car, with all of this that you're talking about now, where you've used the replacement after 2 weeks, you said, and then what happens after between 10 and 20 weeks? What happens then? What's the next part of the process?
Past that calf would have been gone. So I will keep them and feed them accordingly, put them into batches, separate the bulls from the heifers. Because I have Angus's, I won't have to worry about dehorning or any of those other practices. I
don't have to worry about dehorning. So they're mutilating them. They've got to mutilate them to stop them hurting each other. But he doesn't have to worry about that. Why does he have to worry about it in the first place?
Not if I am dehorning, it is quite perfect. You give them an anesthetic and take the horn off or whatever. But in general, they're a very easily managed animal.
What's the next part of the process then? After this is what I'm trying to get to here. So they're born, then you do these processes. They have the milk, they go outside, they eat the grass, and then how long is it up until to the next point when you would say, I don't know what you would call it, but I guess when the next part of this process, because they have to, well, they're beef animals according to how you define them, so they have to go and be processed, as you would say. So what is this? So what is the next part of this process? When does this happen, and what happens?
I wouldn't put it so clinically as you do, but it's something that the terminology. I do love these animals. I put them first over.
Yep, you heard it. He loves them animals. Oh, it's the worst thing I can hear a farmer say. I love them animals.
For anything else, just to be clear on that, I don't see this as what you would see in America as a process, as a number, as a large feedlot.
You've just been talking about production and profit and process and stock.
Situation. My daughter.
Could I quickly interject just 1 quick second there? It's hard. I didn't bring you on here for a conflict, but it's hard for me to take that statement seriously when you keep referring to them as stock. So it's you ask me, tell me.
Well said, David. Well said. Well said, David. So right. I love these animals. Stock.
You don't see them as a process, but then you call them stock. So I'm following your terminology here. That's all.
That's fair enough. But how would I put it? My
girls.
How somebody grows up with a word. A word means one thing to one person and another thing to another.
Yeah, like I said before, he's third and fourth generation. I think he said fourth and fifth generation. So it's just an everyday language to him. He doesn't even see what he's saying. He does not see it one bit. He's saying it as he knows it, how he's always known it. He looks like he's in his 50s. He's grown up from it from being a young boy. His father was a dairy farmer, and his grandfather, and his great grandfather. So he cannot see. He really is blind to what David's trying to say to him, and he can't turn it any other way now. He's stuck. He's stuck for words.
And I'm more talking about the system. I, believe it or not, love these animals. These are friends of mine, and they are genuinely friends. I know these are friends of mine, and they are genuinely friends.
These are friends of mine. They are genuinely my friends. If any of you out there are my friend, I love you. But maybe in 6 months, if I see you anywhere, maybe at vegan camp out, I'm going to stab you in the throat. Because that's what we do to our friends when we're farmers. Unbelievable.
I know it is difficult for people to make that leap about what I'm about to say next, that you wouldn't send your friend to slaughter. You wouldn't kill your friend. But in this world that we're living in, things are not as simple as people like to make it out.
Oh, they are. They can be that simple. Get another job. Do something else. You don't have to kill your friends to make money. Unreal, man.
I have a choice. I can either go out there tomorrow morning and just treat them with the bare minimum of respect, use a stick, use whatever. Most farmers just be very brutalistic with the animals. I'm not. I don't have that in me. So when you say stock, yes, I do use the word stock. I do use other words. I've seen you criticizing. I'm not critiquing Tom Pemberton before. I don't think Tom looks down on his animals in any way at all. I think he has great respect for them.
No, he has great respect for what they do for him. He doesn't have respect for them. Only respect for what they bring him. Dollar.
I try to have great respect for animals. And I say try. You try to love your wife. You try. You have to keep trying. Doesn't mean you're not the best. Haile Gabriel Selassie is still trying to be the best runner in the world. Or maybe he's not anymore, but whoever is, you're always trying. So yes, I try to do the best for the animals every day. For how those words come across to you and how it is interpreted, I think can get lost in translation.
No, it can't. It can't. It's not getting lost in translation. Far from it. You're being very, very honest. You're being very honest, but it doesn't get lost in translation. Yeah, we know what you're saying. However way you want to sugarcoat it. Yeah, they're not your friends. You don't love them. You just love what they bring you. You sat and reaping the rewards of that house and your vehicles and your car and your machinery and everything is because of those animals that you are enslaving, abusing, murdering.
This world that we're living in. I'm not critiquing Tom Pemberton before. I don't think Tom looks down on making very good money. I was working in an industry that I really loved in agriculture.
So let's just fast forward a little bit, see if we finally get the answer about what happens to these calves. Oh, what's
so,
this?
Since Ideen asked and paid to ask this, thank you so much for using the super chat, Ideen. She asks, John, do you ever feel bad separating the mother and the baby cow from each other?
Do I ever feel bad? No. I separate, as I see other people commenting on it, these are a different breed than us. I won't say they're not less. They're not less than us. They're not more than us. They are on the same categories. However, they don't look at things the same way as we do. Yes, there is cows that will give out and say whatever, then give out and start looing for the calf. The minute a cow will loo for that calf, I will let her back into the calf.
So they don't care about the kids' cows. They're not like us. They're not like us. They don't, and they don't moo. They don't moo when you take the kids away from them. And if they do moo, he'll bring the calf back. What, permanently? Talking shite. He's talking shite. Shite. He's talking shite. They've got the biggest bond. They're one of one of the animals in the animal kingdom that have a really, really strong bond with their offspring, with their children. They carry them for 9 months like humans do. They give birth like humans do. They suckle like humans do. Jesus.
I then have to take the cow out for feeding and so on and so forth. And generally, the cow, if the cow wants to come back, she gets to come back. And generally, she doesn't. Out of, I'd say, only 1 or 10.
You know, and the thing is as well is that once this has happened once or twice to the cow, they just lose all value of life. They just become like zombies. They can't do nothing about it. They can't escape the oppression. They can't get away from this torture. So they just give up. They just give up on life and just trudge along and just go along with it because it's easier. Because they can't do fuck all else.
Cry for the calf. And the calves, I suppose I've grown up with this, and I never said that to myself growing up. Do I feel that this is the wrong thing to do? But since coming into the internet era, you get this question quite a bit, and you see people, and some of them will dramatize it massively. But there is different people out there, and there are different cows. There will be other herds out there that the cows would go ballistic if you took the calf away from them, and they don't take the calves away from them, and they rear the calves consistently alongside them. I got neglected to say, up until this year, I also had, before I took over the dairy herd, but simultaneously for the last couple of years, I've had a suckler herd as well. Now, I could not take those calves off those cows. If I took those calves off those cows, they would kill me. And I'm not joking. There's plenty of...
So he's just contradicted himself. He's just literally contradicted himself there. They don't bother. What they fucking do bother, because they kill you. Wow.
Videos and stuff out there of damage that some mother cows, dams, as we call them, dams will do to the human. They'll go through steel to get to the calf.
Because they love them so much.
There's not a hope in... It's actually dangerous to go tagging the calf or...
Question I had for you, actually, I want... So after you've raised them then, and they've been are you okay? Are you all good? No worries, go ahead.
Run again. Sorry.
So it's all right, mate. Don't worry. So after you've raised them, you've fed them with the. Are you all good?
Well looked after. With that whole side of things, there is massive stipulations from Europe and whatever is what we can do. We can only move those animals so many times. Because in the past, there would have been a lot of trading and, wheeling and dealing and buying a bullock for a few months and then selling them on again and buying and selling and so on and so forth. So that has all been curtailed 2 to 3 movements, depending on the age of the animal.
So the slave market continues.
Okay. So could I ask then about, so that's something you're removed from. You mentioned earlier that the female calves that are born onto the farm, they'll replace you used the word heifers, I guess, I think that's
Heifers.
the word you used. So when you say replace them, so that's where I want to go next. So what do you mean replace? So when do you consider a heifer in need of replacing, and what happens to her when she's in need of replacing?
A heifer is a young cow, is a female, is a girl, is a heifer.
Okay.
And when she goes in calf, then and she has a calf, she's a cow or a lady, the same definition. So she, you're basically, I can get you're going at me there. I'm told what happens to cows at the end of life and why do we need to come in and have replacements?
On your farm, I mean, because I don't want to assume anything, I want to know.
No animal lives forever. No human lives forever. We would be very lucky that we have a very high lactation number in that we would be able to keep the cows quite a long time. And I think that would be down to several reasons in that we will be a smaller herd and like that would have chosen good genetics and so on. But where most of our cows would go to other farmers who need cows for milk, because other beef farmers, they will go into retirement. We joke they go into retirement because it would be
They go into retirement. They go to a retirement home by the seaside.
The customer base that my father would have built up over the years, where other suckler farmers wouldn't have enough. We spoke earlier, cows have too much milk. Then there's also the problem where other farmers' cows would pass on, and there'd be several guys that would come and buy cows off us that would be older or that might have a lame leg or might have taken an infection and been cured of it but isn't fully right since. These are all things that happen. Humans as well. So I know people will think, "Oh, you shouldn't have aliens." I shouldn't have aliens.
Why does he keep comparing it to you? Why does he keep comparing everything to humans? He doesn't treat the cows like humans. The lives are nothing like our lives. He does not treat them like he treats humans. So why is he comparing their life to human life?
Cows. I shouldn't have any sick cows. I will do anything, and I do my best not to have any animals that would get sick. Now, we wouldn't have that high issue rate, but any animal like that, we would sell on to another farmer for him to rear calves on there. That he would use the milk of that cow. That would be about 50% of them. 25% of them would go to the factory to be brought into. Basically nearly all our meat will go into McDonald's, into the burgers.
A factory.
Why is he so reluctant to say? He doesn't like saying it, does he? He doesn't like saying slaughterhouse. He doesn't like saying abattoir. To the factory. The factory of death.
You mean a slaughterhouse here?
Right? Yes.
Or an abattoir, or okay.
Abattoir, yeah.
And how do they leave the farm exactly? Do you to take them yourself, or how does that work?
No, I don't take them ourselves. It's I have done in the past, but time-wise and just it's a large part of your day when there's fellas there to do it very professionally and are would have more high-powered vehicles than I have to make sure that the ride is as comfortable as possible. That will be
The ride is as comfortable as possible. Welcome to my animal transporting business. As you can see, we have soft seats for the cows to sit on during their journey to the factory. We have toilets in the back, and we have waitress service where you can get tea or coffee. Please enjoy your ride. There are earphones in the armrests where you can listen to music on your journey.
A big thing nowadays, and that the factory, the animal has to arrive in there very, very, very good condition. Because rightfully so, there's an awful lot more checks and balances, and especially coming from the UK, where a lot of animal rights activists have come in and seen problems, and things have
Exposed problems.
tightened up. And things have tightened up an awful lot. A lot of what people thought was okay is no longer okay. And
Sure.
animals will go in there in a cattle trailer, and that's why I would get a professional to do it. I don't have to, but it makes more sense for me to get someone that does it every day. So like Keelan there were coming along, he'd take the cows early and they would...
I've looked into this professional business, and I can go and get my animal transport license. It takes me, I think there's a 2 or 3 days course. That's it. Familiarise with the vehicle, how the hydraulics work, for them to come on and off, water feeding systems, what to do after, cleaning.
Bring them straight to the factory, and that would be them.
Okay.
Your friends, yeah.
25%. There's another part. I think you said there was 50 and 25.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stop it there. It's a small scale farm, but it's a co-op. So they help each other. And when you put them all together, you've got a factory farm. There's no difference. They're getting disease, just like a big factory farm. He's very uncomfortable. He's very uncomfortable telling the honest truth of what goes on. David did a good job of sort of teasing out of him what actually happens, and he still wasn't totally 100% honest with us, was he? It's the same system, whether it's factory farm or small holding farm like he's got. There's no difference with the process. They still get forcefully impregnated. They still get rid of the males, even though they may live a little bit longer because they want to fatten them up for the beef industry. The cows still get put on big transporters and taken to a slaughterhouse or the factory. And as you can see, John is very indoctrinated into it. He's very entrenched in the language, and you can see that when he's taken out of his process and systems and factories and stock, he's very uncomfortable. He's very uncomfortable because he knows perfectly well that the language, if he uses the correct language, enslavement, rape, murder, if he uses kidnap, if he uses those words, people ain't going to look favourably on him. I mean, alright, fair enough. He's got a job. It's his living. He puts a roof over his head. He's got children. He's got a family. Of course, I understand that. But I think people would appreciate it more if they were just straight up and honest. I'm waiting to see the farmer that just comes on and says, yeah, we steal spunk off the balls, we shove it up the fucking cow's vagina, we get the male calves, we shoot them in the fucking head because we don't need them, we steal the milk off the mother over and over and over again until she can't produce anymore, then she's fucking useless, so we cart them off to the slaughterhouse, spoke gun them in the head, stab them in the throat, and fuck them off for dog meat or for humans to eat. That'd be a lot easier, a lot more honest. I think everyone would appreciate it a lot more. Dairy is scary. Dairy is torture. Dairy is the worst ongoing torture for any animal. If you're vegetarian and you're watching this is what you're paying for. Stop it. Go vegan. For fuck's sake.